Hi, and welcome again to another edition of Market Analysis for today, September 10th of 2024. I'm Giovanni Benacourt, analyst, trader, and educator with Vantage Markets, and this is being pre-recorded previous to the U.S. session open. All right, so from now on, I'm going to start doing something a bit different in things. So we start with a daily candlestick chart to just identify some levels, important levels of support and resistance, and then we break it down into a 30-minute chart to kind of look at the market's fluctuation for the next couple of hours. So let's start with some news about what we saw yesterday. Nasdaq, we see that Nasdaq is holding support, the all-time important 200-day moving average, which is the white line here. Okay, that's a 200 moving average, and the yellow one is a 50-day moving average, and the Bollinger Band is the middle one. The middle band is a 20-day moving average. So far the Nasdaq tested it on Friday, as we see. And like I said, we rallied off that, having a decent day for the Nasdaq. Not strong enough to consider it a reversal of the next sessions, but obviously that could be in play today. We also had geo volatility come off after the 3 consecutive sessions. Now, as the 210s inversion seems to be over, and we have 2 consecutive sessions now where we're closing with a positive 210s curve. So that's a little bit of volatility coming out of the treasury sector, which generally will help equities as long as the moves that happen in the geo sector don't happen as aggressively as they have been recently. So that could obviously overfold into today's market fluctuation, market action today. So let's take a look at that 30-minute chart, and just open that up. And we've seen how in the 30-minute chart, the 200-day moving average is above the market, which will act as a probable dynamic level of resistance. And we are above the upper band of the Bollinger Band. We obviously also have the 50-day moving average also below the market, and parallel with the 20-day moving average. So obviously we also have the golden cross, which is when the 50-day moves from below or crosses over the 200 moving day average from below, and that is a bullish scenario. That is a bullish signal. So they're creeping up to each other on the 30-minute chart. So as for today, the resistance is going to be 18,811 for the day. Initially, we want to be looking at the 200-day moving average as a possible dynamic resistance level for the Nasdaq. Okay, and obviously we're bouncing off the 50-day as support. So that's for the Nasdaq. So let's go back to the 1 day and take a look at the S&P 500. The S&P 500, we see how the 50-day, the 200-day moving average is way below, but nevertheless, we are having the 50-day moving average above the market in the daily chart, acting as a dynamic resistance level. So let's take a look at 30 minutes and see how we will fluctuate out of that today. On the 30-minute chart, we're seeing how the S&P 500 is actually picking above the 200-day moving average. Okay, so that in that case, we can now consider the 200-day moving average in the S&P 500 as a level of support. So let's keep that in mind, and a move to the upside obviously is favored for both indices so far. So let's just go back to the daily, and let's take a look at the Dow and see how the Dow is looking. So we are seeing that the Dow is having the same kind of volatility. We also see that the 200-day moving average is also farther away from the market in the daily chart. So since we are basically right there let's take a look at the 30-minute first. Now in the 30-minute chart, our level of resistance is just right just right around the corner. We are seeing how the 200-day moving average is below the market, and the 50-day moving average is about to cross over from below the 200-day moving average, which again is a signal of a bullish signal. So therefore, since we are right there, 41,000 is just jumping at me. So I'm gonna use that as my probable level of resistance, and I'm gonna bring this puppy of the level of support. Now, one way that I like to use, or I like to obviously identify my levels of resistance and support, is a level where I can find some nice volume, which, looking at the volume, okay, so it's around this corner, so basically around this area. And I'll just say, I'll look at the chart and look for also some levels that could jump at me, talking about round numbers. So 40,600 and change, I don't know, is not round number. It'll be, round number will be 40,600. So why not let's just leave it there. That's our level of support today for the Dow. So again, even though the Dow was kind of looking to having some pressure, it's looking to recuperate itself. Let's go back to the 1 day, and let's take a look at the Russell. The Russell in here. So the Russell is just, yesterday had a just very, very modest day, if you will. Today is just, trying to sustain itself and maintain itself within yesterday's range. So that's on a daily. Let's take a look at the 30-minute and see what we can come and digest out of that. So in the 30-minute chart, we're seeing how the Russell is bouncing off the 50-day moving average. The 200-day moving average is way above it. So just for today, I'm gonna bring down my level of resistance to 2120, which is basically where the 200-day moving average is about. Okay, and that'll be my resistance level for it today, and my support level for that will be just right around here. So yeah, 2080, that's way too low, so let's just use this right here. Okay, I mean, we could also use this right here, but we are too close to the market and we want to be able to give some room. So let's just use 2090 as a probable level of support for the Russell. I'm still looking for a move to the upside. And indices, let's see what happens. Now, crude oil has been on a tear. So far, yesterday we did kind of sustain ourselves within Friday's range. Today we fluctuate into the downside. RSI is creeping to being into the oversold territory. So let's take a look at the 30-minute chart and see where we are, what we can come in, speculate for today's market action. Both moving averages, all of the moving averages really are above the market. So that is that's really technical analysis 101. All three major moving averages are above the market. A lot of pressure on the market. So $67.16 is our probable level of support, and that's our probable level of the target for today. Let's just bring down our resistance to 68 or 69, around $69, which is where the 200-day moving average is. So continues perhaps selling crude oil. Let's take a look at Nat Gas on a daily chart initially. So on the daily chart, we identifying, we're sustaining those levels so far. We are fluctuating above the 20 and the 50. All right, we creeping closer to the 200-day moving average. Now let's take a look at the 30-minute and see how we are testing that out. And we are basically walking the band, the upper band of the Bollinger's band, and that is a bullish signal, reversal, right off of the low near the $2 marker. So still, the 225 is going to be that target for Nat Gas recovery, perhaps today for Nat Gas. Yesterday had a really sell off, but let's see support today. Then we have gold. So we have extreme levels of gold, level support. And obviously resistance for gold. So let's take a look at the 30-day moving average. I'm going to sustain those so far, those levels right here. Let's take a look at the 30. On the 30 comparison to Nat Gas, we have, to oil, we have all the three moving averages below the market, giving the support. So we are, and if you look at this particular way of the chart, I'm suggesting that we are going to have a nice move to the upside today on gold. So the target 25.20 might be just a bit too steep. And so let's just bring that down to 25.16. And let's just bring up our level of support to this double bottom right here, created at the beginning or the night last week. So that's our level. So buying gold, being long gold. Let's take a look at silver, the daily chart real quick, and then see what happens. Fluctuation. All right, so we have the 200-day moving average below the market, and we have a crossing of the 20 above the 50 in silver. So those level of resistance and support are going to sustain themselves right there. Let's go down to 30 minutes. And let's take a look at what we can come in. Oh, take a look. So we have in all three major moving averages below the market, giving it support. Okay, we already have the 20-day crossing from below the 200-day moving average, giving us some momentum to the upside. So let's just bring down our level really initially to 28.80 and our level of support to 27.80. Okay, so it's $1 difference in between those two levels. So yep, also being bullish on silver. Let's take a look at copper. Copper is what just really has been really just look at just really equal highs, basically equal lows. So breakout scenarios is building up for copper. All three major currency indices, moving averages, are above the market. So is that obviously putting pressure on the metal. So let's take a look at the 30-minute chart and see where we are in 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, we are basically, okay, so the market is looking just kind of sideways, right? The 50-day and the 20 are moving parallel from each other. Obviously, that's a strong level of resistance right there. So obviously, copper will need to, fluctuate and break, obviously, have a session, 30-minute session, because each candle is 30 minutes, to close above it. Right now, it seems to be having some pressure to the downside. So far, I'm gonna be looking at, let's see, the levels of resistance support. That's to be a bit too steep also. So let's do 416 and then 402. Let's see. So far, I'm continuing to think that it's just going to create a channel, just going to create equal highs, equal lows, waiting for a breakout, perhaps to the upside, perhaps to the downside. I don't know. Let's see what will happen. And then we are looking at Bitcoin on the daily chart. So on the daily chart, we are above that level of resistance we placed yesterday. So we're going to have to bring that puppy up, and I'm just going to use the 50-day moving average as my probable level of resistance, and my support is going to sustain itself right there. Let's take a look at the 30-minute and see what more, which path is pointing towards. So we have all the major moving averages below the market giving us level of support. So initially that high is our target right around the 58,000, below the 58,000 marker. So that's our initial target for Bitcoin as it continues to recuperate itself. Let's take a look at the currency, the euro. Well, the euro is having a lot of pressure so far. We are going to be having an ECB meeting later on this week on Thursday. So breakouts are expected. So perhaps this is just a factor in that end. Yesterday we saw that the market had opened up with a gap down and is continuing to put pressure on the pair. So let's take a look at 30 minutes and see what we can speculate out of this puppy. then we've seen that all three major moving averages are above the market. So therefore, a lot of resistance for the pair for the next couple of trading sessions. So let's take a look and see if we'll be able to recover, and will the euro sustain itself north of 110. So far, it seems to be the scenario is really making almost just it looks just a lateral movement, horizontal movement in the market. So it probably going to continue to stay that way until Thursday. Let's take a look at the pound. So the pound was pounded yesterday to the downside. We did fluctuate lower today, but we kind of recovering. Let's take a look at the week. Let's take a look at the 30-minute, and then we just change levels there. So we've seen that the market are right below the 20 and the 50, and the 200 way above. So perhaps today also the pound is looking to sustain itself within that range, and now that range is going to be 131 to right about 130 and a half. So sideways movement initially, pressure since moving averages are above it. So let's see if that will be the case for today. And the dollar index is just itself open up with a strong gap up. So let's take a look at 30 minutes, because that gap up is important to read out. So we are the 200-day moving average is looking just flat across the board. All right, and then the 50 is right also on the Bollinger Band. So this could be a probable reversal as it comes down towards it. Let's see what will happen. That's it for me today, and I'll see you tomorrow.